Hey everyone, today I want to talk about something that's really exciting to me. Years ago, almost 5 years ago or 6 years ago now, I started doing photography with just my phone and a knockoff of a Holo clip, which was a three-in-one lens for smartphones. And I just got it for $5 or $6 off eBay, and it had a wide-angle lens and macro lens, and I took thousands of photos with it. And after that, over a couple of years, I saved up and bought a fancy DSLR, bought a proper macro lens, and so it's been a good journey. And there's obviously, I'm not here to tell you that phone lenses are as good as DSLR lenses, but what I will tell you is that after buying a fancy DSLR and all that, I actually ended up taking less photos. And the reason for that is because it takes time and effort and you have to plan it. Versus things like this that are made for a phone, you just keep in your pocket, and then it allows you to be creative in a spontaneous manner with both wide angle and macro. And I absolutely love macro. I love bugs. I love food items. Taking photos of food items, and the phones have gotten better, and the phone lenses have gotten better. This one is a macro lens from Aukey, and here is the wide angle one that I'll also be reviewing, and they have gotten better. And this is being filmed on a phone right now because I uh, prefer to film on my Nexus 6P now rather than my Canon DSLR, because it's just so much more convenient, and if I give it enough light, the results are excellent for my purposes. So, very basic lens, quite large as you can see for a phone lens. It comes with this thing that's removable. I like using this because it is acts like a diffuser to light, and what that does is with macro, your biggest challenge is not enough light, and then you add enough light, then it ends up reflecting off of shiny things because it's usually a flash or a really bright light. So this acts as a diffuser, which smoothens the light and gives you a better result. Other than that, it comes with two of these clips in case you break one or whatnot. And then this is quite a hefty lens. It's rubber and metal and glass, obviously. So I'm gonna post some sample photos, and I'll also show it to you. I'll attempt to show it to you on video on what it looks like, because one of the things with macro is that your depth of field, which is how much of the image is in sharpness or back to forth, is very narrow. So it will kind of give you a sense of what it takes to get a sharp macro picture. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, so here we are looking at a coffee bean. And one thing I want to mention to you is that when you're doing macro, you focus by just moving back and forth. You don't try to get your autofocus to work. Now, as I shift and tilt, you can see how it's going out of focus and coming into focus. So with macro photography, you want to keep the camera and lens parallel to the surface of your object. So right above the bean at whatever angle the coffee bean is here. Now, I don't have the best lighting, but I hope you can start to see the detail and at the same time challenge of macro photography. I really like this kind of photography because you can get lost in it and just spend hours working on getting that one perfect image. Here's a Canadian dollar. Now, I will note this, that the diffuser sort of cover that came with this thing, it's a little bit tall. So what will happen is, in some objects, you're gonna have to take it off to actually get close enough to get your details. But you can see this is a really worn out dollar, and look at the amount of detail you can get. I mean, you gotta remember that this is an inexpensive phone lens, and it's a phone camera, and just a LED light that I'm using right now. This is amazing. Like, I want to carry this in my pocket at all times, so that when I'm walking around and I see a flower or I see sap on a tree, just things that your eyes cannot resolve, I want to go look at them. I don't want to make this review too long, but I am genuinely having fun, and that excitement that I had 5 years ago when I picked up my first lens for my smartphone. I kind of lost it because I got busy with school and things like that and haven't been able to do a whole lot of macro photography. It's a game of patience. Amazing. One thing I can definitely tell is that it is sharper in the center and not so much in the edges, which is okay. Usually allows you to do better framing of your object because it naturally fades up. The light naturally fades off at the edges. Anyhow, I hope this was helpful, useful, and I hope it gets your creative juices flowing. I will try to also throw in some sample photos with this review. Thank you and have a wonderful day.